In a small village in the Eastern Cape, there lived a young woman named Noma. Everyone called her Noma. Noma was kind, hardworking, and deeply in love. The man who had captured her heart was named Vuyani. Now, there was something people often whispered about Vuyani's family, especially his mother and his aunt. People said strange things followed that family. Some even joked that Vuyani's grandmother used to fly across the village on a broom at night. Of course, nobody ever had proof. Most people laughed when those stories were told. Noma laughed too, except for her grandmother. Her grandmother had never laughed. One afternoon, shortly before the wedding, Gogo held Noma's hand and said, "Tanam, before you marry into this family, learn who they are." Noma smiled. "Gogo, people always talk." But Gogo sighed. "I know people talk, but sometimes people talk for a reason." Noma kissed her grandmother on the cheek and promised not to worry. A few weeks later, she married Vuyani, and for a while, life was exactly as she had imagined. She settled into her new home. She learned the routines of the household. She woke before sunrise. She swept the yard, cooked, cleaned, and slowly became comfortable in her new life as Makoti. Everything felt normal until one night. That night, nobody seemed interested in sleeping. The house was quiet, too quiet. Noma and Vuyani had already gone to their room when Vuyani suddenly sat up. Then he looked at her and said, "Yiza siambe." Just that, "Yiza siambe." Noma frowned. "See happy." But Vuyani didn't answer. He simply stood up. Confused, Noma followed him to the door. When she opened it, Vuyani's mother and Aunt Nomonde were already waiting outside, holding a lantern. Neither woman smiled. Neither woman explained anything. They simply turned and began walking. Noma followed. The four of them walked through the darkness, past the kraal, past the fields, and past the places she knew. Eventually, they reached a small rondavel hidden behind the homestead. Noma had never seen it before. The lantern flickered across the old walls. For some reason, the sight of it made her uneasy. Vuyani's mother stopped at the door. Then she looked at Noma and said one word, "Usapho lwalapha." And with that, she pushed the door open. Inside, something moved. At first, Noma thought they were children. Small figures wrapped in old blankets, sitting together in the corners of the room. But when they lifted their heads, she realized they weren't children at all. The creatures stared at her, silent, unblinking, watching. Noma felt her stomach tighten. Nobody else seemed afraid. Not Vuyani, not his mother, not Aunt Nomonde. Then one of the creatures stepped closer. It tilted its head, sniffed the air, a strange smile, and said, "Unuka njengogogo." Noma's blood ran cold. How could it know her grandmother? She turned toward Vuyani, but he said nothing. She looked at his mother, nothing. Nobody seemed surprised, as if this was completely normal. Then Vuyani's mother lifted a wooden bowl and placed it into Noma's hands. the room became very quiet. The creatures immediately turned toward the bowl, watching, waiting. They stepped forward, looked directly into Noma's eyes, and whispered, "Silambile." That was the moment Noma understood. She had not been brought there for an introduction. She had been brought there for a responsibility. Noma did not sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them, their faces, their eyes, the way they had watched her, waiting patiently as if they had known her long before she knew they existed. By morning, she needed answers, so she confronted Vuyani. "Zindoni ezi?" For a long moment, Vuyani was silent. Then he sighed. "My grandmother kept them." Noma stared at him. "Kept them?" He nodded. People always thought she was strange. They weren't completely wrong. A chill ran through Noma's body. Vuyani continued. "My grandmother collected them over many years. When she died, they stayed. My mother and Aunt Nomonde took over caring for them. And now," he looked at Noma, "it's your turn." Noma couldn't believe what she was hearing. "What do you mean, my turn?" Vuyani lowered his eyes. "It's always been the responsibility of the women in our family. My grandmother, my mother, my aunt, and now you." That evening, Noma returned to the rondavel. This time, she watched carefully. One by one, the creatures disappeared into the darkness. Hours later, they returned, covered in dust, carrying tiny bundles, coins, seeds, pieces of cloth, objects Noma couldn't identify. They placed everything neatly before Aunt Nomonde, like workers reporting back after a shift. Suddenly, Noma understood. These creatures weren't pets. They worked for the family, and they had been doing so for generations. The next day, Noma visited Gogo. The moment the old woman saw her face, she knew something was wrong. "Mntanam, kwenzeke ntoni?" Noma told her everything, the hidden rondavel, the creatures, the bowl, the midnight errands. When she finished, Gogo stared silently into the fire. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she sighed. "I knew that family carried secrets, but I never imagined this." Noma leaned forward. Gogo looked at her carefully. Vuyani's grandmother had a reputation. People said she liked collecting things she shouldn't. People said strange things followed her. I never knew exactly what she was doing, but I knew enough to stay away. Days passed, then weeks. Every night, Noma carried out her duty. Every night, the creatures waited. Every night, they watched her. Until one evening, one of them approached while she was alone. It looked directly at her and smiled. Not kindly, not cruelly, knowingly. Then it whispered, "Ubuyile." That was the moment Noma made her decision. She could not stay, not like this, not forever. Before sunrise one morning, Noma packed a small bag. She left quietly, without telling Vuyani, without telling his mother, without telling Aunt Nomonde. She arrived at Gogo's home, and life slowly became normal again. The nightmares faded, the fear faded, Weeks became months, and eventually Noma convinced herself it was over. Then one evening, as she prepared supper in Gogo's kitchen, she heard a voice outside the window. Soft, familiar, impossible. Silambile. The spoon slipped from her hand. Slowly, Noma turned toward the window, but there was nobody there. Only darkness, only wind. Yet deep inside, she knew she had left the rondavel, but somehow the rondavel had not left her. Thank you so much for watching this story. This is Nonina, Tales of Mystery, Crime, and Life Lessons. If you do enjoy stories like this, remember to like this video, comment below, and subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. I'll see you on the next one.